Okay, so we're going to be doing transit gateway peering. We're going to connect two EC2 instances and two different accounts. It's going to look something like this. Account A with an EC2 instance A is going to be able to go through transit gateway A to transit gateway B, which is an account B. The letters are arbitrary, just to basically distinguish them. So, but the whole idea here is you'd be able to use the transit gateway peering attachment to create a bi-directional connection between two transit gateways and the VPCs that are connected to that transit gateway. In theory, you could have any number of VPCs because that's how transit gateways work. You can have multiple VPCs. For this one, we're just going to do one VPC and just show you how to connect two VPCs through transit gateways. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first step is to create the VPCs. We'll have to create one in each account. We'll say the green browser is account A, the brown browser is account B. So let's start with this one, do this, give it a cool name. Actually, I think it changes the name. So I'll start with a unique IP range. In this case, we'll just say 11.16 VPC A. And then we'll go down here. We'll add a NAT. Remember, NATs cost money, so I would delete all this after you're done, or you will be charged for the NAT. Just using the NAT for this particular demo, just because it's fun to throw in some new stuff, and so we'll be logging in using SSM for this, so you won't need a SSH key, and that's what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and get this started. Everything looks good, name looks good. So we start this, and this is nice, so I'll create everything for us. Come over here, do the same thing. We'll call this, let's see, we'll say 12, and then VPC B. Again, we'll need one NAT. Don't need an endpoint. Everything else is good. Now we're creating two VPCs. It'll probably take a second to get to the NAT. NAT has to launch. So I will pause the video and we'll... Okay, so it looks like they both finished. Let's look at this one. Yep, everything looks good. Come over here. Everything looks good. Get our, let's see, VPC A, VPC B, and naturally it appends VPC to it. I think when you do the auto-generating thing, which is fine. So what's next? I'd probably just go ahead and make sure that you're able to launch an EC2 instance. So in this case, and connect to it. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll call this EC2A. And you'll want to select the Amazon Linux because that has SSM already enabled. And in this case, we will want a private subnet for this. And we'll create delete me, because after all, we want to always be cleaning up our stuff after we're done. So because we're in a private subnet, we're not going to need this. So that looks good, And then this is where you'll want to create a, well, looks like I have something to get rid of. You want to create a new profile. So we're going to create a role. For service, it's going to be EC2 because that's going to be who's using it. And I believe it's the, let's see, SSM. Let's see if I can just find it that way. And you want to select the manage instance core policy. Hit next. Just call this EC2 SSM. EC2 SSM. All right, that looks good. And we'll come over here, refresh. There it is. Okay, excellent. And everything else is defaults are fine. Yep, everything looks good. So we'll just go ahead and launch our instance. And it's going to ask us if we want to proceed without a key pair. In this case, we can. We're not, oh, actually, yeah, we can do this. So we proceed without a key pair. We're launching in the private subnet. This is a nice, secure way of doing things. I really appreciate this from this way of actually connecting to EC2. At some point, I want to do a video on how to set up your SSH config to be able to just log into these like you were, if you need to SCP into them, you don't even need to have key pairs, really. It's a great feature. So we got to do the same thing here. So let's go do the same thing, and we're going to call this EC2B, and then we'll go here, make sure all that's the same. Let's see, we got another private subnet we need to select. We'll create delete me. Delete me. Don't need that. And we'll probably need to do the same thing. Oh, I already have one built. Okay, so I guess I forgot to clean that up. We'll just go ahead and use it. You would normally have to create that. I showed you in the other account, so we'll just reuse this one. No problem there. And let's see. Everything else looks pretty good. Again, it's going to ask us if we want to create a key pair. We don't need to, because we're just going to use SSM to connect. Everything looks good. All right, let's see. This one actually might be ready. So this is how you know if it's connected already. You should be able to see this. And boom. There we go. I would go ahead and, we don't really need this session right now. So we just tested to make sure we could connect. Let's do the same thing over here. Look at that, already ready. All right, very nice. So now we go to the next step, which is to set up our pairing. We'll start with the first guy, and we will create a transit gateway. We'll call this transit gateway A. Keep it nice and simple. A lot of these defaults are like this stuff can get more complicated. Like you would have to actually, if you didn't check this, you would have to manually configure the route table. But we're going to go and leave the defaults, and I think this is interesting too. If you wanted to auto accept shared attachments for cross account sharing, we're not going to do that for this. We're just going to create a transit gateway. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Create a new transit gateway. B. Oops. Transit gateway B. And everything can be the same. All the defaults are fine. Looks good. It's going to take a minute to create. is ready. Still waiting. All right, just copy. Yeah, it's taking its time today. All right, there we go. Finally came in. Usually it doesn't take that long. It's a little longer than normal, but it's still magic. It's amazing how all this stuff works. All right, so we got. Well, yeah, I wish these were clearer. Probably should use a different account, but. You create two, for each one of these, you're going to create two attachments in order to get this to work. The first one's a VPC attachment, and then you're going to do a peering attachment. So let's go ahead and start with that. We'll call this transit gateway attachment. Hey. And then VPC, everything else is good. All right, that looks good. And we got our, well, actually, make sure you got both your private subnets. We're not, for this one, we're not attaching our public subnets, which you could technically do that. Typically you'd want to use a private subnet for security reasons. So we got that created. We'll come over here and do the same thing. Start with the first attachment. Attachment. And then VPC, same thing. Make sure these are pointed to your private subnets. And there we go. And these take a couple minutes. Well, maybe a minute or two. I get impatient, so I just bang the refresh button over and over again. As if that's going to make it happen any faster. And you just have to wait. And then once it's done, yeah, maybe time to pause the video if it takes any longer. Come on. There we go. All right, that one came through. So this one will probably happen pretty soon. All right. So we have the first attachment. We have the second attachment pending. We could probably start on the second type of attachment. So this one would be a peering attachment. Transit gateway attachment to B, to VPC B. It just naming things is the hardest thing in software development. So true here too. Like, what do you name this? So I'm just going to name it that the purpose of this is a peering, and it's going to go to VPCB. I honestly think you could probably name this better, but for this, we're just going to call it B. I come over here, I grab the account number, region, and then we'll need the actual transit gateway. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Grab that. And this is the gateway ID that I just grabbed over here in account B. So it will it will actually make a request. If you've ever done a VPC peering request, it's the same concept. And so you create an attachment. It's going to make a request to the other account saying, "Hey, can I peer with your transit gateway?" And so you'll see here it's in pending acceptance. And then when we come down to this gateway attachment, you're going to see this new one, which is the request. And so what I'll say is I'll call this transit gateway attachment from A. Something simple like that. We'll go here and we'll just say, yeah, we're going to accept. We're going to accept that. And this same thing, it takes a minute, but it's in pending state, so it changed. So we go here, and yeah, it's probably going to take a minute or two. Might be a good time to get a drink of water, sip of your coffee, whatever it is you're enjoying while you're setting up your transit gateways. All right. We just have to wait. Oh, finally kicked in. Now they're both available. This is great. So we got both of them available. And if you remember, we accepted defaults. So what's kind of nice about that is when we go to our transit gateway, you're going to see these two things were populated. And this is true over here too. And that has to do with that original setting. Like we originally said, yeah, we want our transit, we want the default route table to be associated. You could, for troubleshooting though, if you see these things are blank, then chances are it's not going to work. So this is a good, this would be a point for troubleshooting. You may want to check, hey, do I have a route table ID? Do I have a is my propagation route table ID
sure thing.
populated?
You unlock your phone first to do this.
All right, so let's go and take a look at this route table. So we have two of these. This is another thing too. If you don't see both associations, unless you have like a special, because I have seen some interesting networking where this wasn't populated, but typically you'll have two associations, one for your VPC, one for your peering. So I can't say that won't always work, but this is another place of troubleshooting. You need to have two of these somewhere, whether it's associated to this particular route transit gateway or some other. A lot of it just depends on how your network is set up. But for this one, you want to see both of these here. And this is where it gets fun. Now we're going to create a static route. Now you notice the only static route that's showing up is the static route for the VPC. Well, we want the static route for this VPC to show up as well. So we're going to grab the CIDR block, this guy right here, and we're going to add that CIDR to this static route. So I hit that, and then we And this is for what we want to connect it to is the peering attachment, not the VPC attachment, the peering attachment, because that peering attachment is actually pointing to this transit gateway and this VPC. So route was successfully updated. So we see two CIDRs here. We're actually going to do the same exact thing over here in account B. We go down to the transit gateway, go to the route table, go to routes. Now you see that it only has a VPC. We want to put the attachment, the CIDR for this account in this route. And so we'll go over here, grab the VPC, grab that CIDR block, copy, and then we're going to add it. You see that, and then remember to grab the peering attachment and create the stat. Oh, yeah. White space characters look at you every time. So all right, I'll create that. Now this route table. Oh, got some glitching going on here. Yes. All right, so this one has two routes, VPC and peering. And then when we come over to this one, same thing. We should see. Well, actually, you might be able to just go here. If you have a bunch of route tables, this might not be the fastest way to find it. You might want to go through your actual transit gateway that you're working with. So you see two are there, and you might think, "Oh, is that enough? Are we done?" No, we're not. We actually have to now modify the subnets. Now, in theory, I could just do the one that the EC2 is on, but we did select both subnets when we set this up. So we want to get the route table for each of these subnets. So one way to do it is do like open these up into a new tab. And then I see the route table. So I only have two routes there, and it's the same thing. We're going to edit this route, and we're going to add the VPC from over here. So we want, well, it could be confusing. I know which one is which, but just for the sake of thoroughness, we'll just you go to your actual VPC and copy. Come over here, you want to paste it, and then you want to grab your transit gateway. And this is, well, actually I called it attachment, but yeah, I think I named it incorrectly, because that should just be a transit gateway. So I might have messed up the name. Just because I don't want anybody to be confused by it, I'm just going to go ahead and show and prove that that's what I actually did, because it could be kind of confusing. Well, no, it's named correctly. I'm not sure exactly why it's saying that. I don't know where it's getting that ID, but anyway, you want your transit gateway that you are working with that has the attachment with this particular, that has the attachment to this one. If you have multiple ones, you might have more in that list. So we're going to go ahead and grab that, and so that's going to create a route to go to that transit gateway when it hits this CIDR, and that will tell the networking. This is how route tables work. Anything within the CIDR is then going to get routed to the transit gateway attachment. That's then going to go over to this VPC. which is kind of cool. So we go over here. I think we have the same thing. All right, so they must be separate. Yeah, you got to watch out for that. Sometimes these private ones, when it's generated, each one of these gets its own route table for some reason. I suppose if you had a database, private subnet, you could exclude it from maybe these kinds of routers or routes, excuse me. So it's got a use, but we will, as you can see, we will have to add another route. So paste. We got that 12 slider block, and now we go down to the transit gateway. We select our transit gateway, hit save. And so now we got both of those private subnets are set up. Now we do the exact same thing over here. We got subnets. Go ahead, copy, open them up in a new link. And you can see the routes are just the local routes, which is the current VPC. So now we want to add the cellular block from account A. So we want to grab this cellular block. And now we go, oh, that was weird. Oh, I don't think I actually selected the cellular block or the route table. So, all right, so we edit the route. We paste that. Now this is from account A, and we want this to go to the transit gateway. So we select our transit gateway. Do the same thing over here. Oh, no, I did the same thing. I have to actually go to the route table to edit it. Go here, edit the route, same thing. Paste that in there. Select your transit gateway from the one that has the attachment connected to your other account. Hit save, and now we have our routes. Now we have one last thing we got to do, which is on the EC2 instances themselves that are running, we have to provide access. Right now we don't have inbound, but yet we are able to connect to it through SSM, which is really cool. This is a highlight point. You know, we are able to actually connect to this EC2 instance without any inbound, which makes this very secure. However, we need to modify this to at least allow ping. So we edit the inbound, we add a rule, go down and we select ICMP IP4, and we want to grab the EC2 instance IP address from this guy. So we have this IP address from account B. We're going to put it here. Oh, and it's nice that it tells me it needs to be 32. And so we'll say ping from account B. We save the rule. We do the same thing here. We need to change the security group, and I have to edit the inbound, add a rule, ICMP4, and then now we need the EC2 instance from account A. So I grab that, come back over here. Auto completes for me, which is nice. Say ping from account A. And we hit save. Now it's fine. Let's see if we actually did this. go and we connect here. We go and connect here. And now we just have to ping let's see, oops. Hostname -i. Alright, so we'll grab this. Copy. And look at that, we have liftoff. All right, now the question is can we ping both directions? And that is the big question, isn't it? I think we can. Look at that. We're able to ping from account A to account B successfully. And this basically gives you bi-directional connectivity. Could, in theory, have other VPCs with other CIDR blocks, with other EC2 instances. It's really very powerful. So if you don't get it, sometimes it takes a couple tries. Some of the mistakes you can watch out for is when you modify the security group. Be sure to make sure that your ISMP protocol is IP4. I've selected IPv6 and wondered, hey, why isn't this working? So you just have to make sure that you just pay attention to the little details. Now that we've successfully connected to VPCs, time for cleanup. I'll go through one just to show you some of the things you got to do to clean it up, just because it can be a little annoying. So first thing you got to do is you got to terminate your instance. All right, so you basically can't delete your VPC until you've eliminated all the network interfaces. So the first network interface we're going to get rid of is the instance. The second one is the earlier I mentioned that we are going to be using a NAT gateway. So a NAT gateway will actually stop you from being able to delete your VPC. So you need to delete the NAT gateway. And then once you've done that, and this thing is close to being, well, once it deletes, then you want to release your public IP address, because believe it or not, that actually has a network interface. I think it does. Pretty sure it does. Yes, has a network interface. And believe it or not, this guy will actually prevent you from deleting your VPC. So you'll want to release the elastic IP address. Doesn't let me. Not sure why. Let's see. Release. Yeah. Well, maybe does it do it automatically? Maybe that's, oh yeah, it's not done deleting. So once this is done deleting, oh, there we go. I come over here and you will want to release the elastic IP address. It's taking a little while. Not sure why it should have let me. Go. Okay. So I'm not sure what's going on here, why it's not letting me. We'll just go ahead and try to delete the VPC and see if it will let us. Nope. So it's taking its good sweet. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. We need to get rid of the transit gateway as well. So, which in order to do that, you have to get rid of the attachments. And this is why managing stuff in IAC is sometimes easier, because it's easier to delete stuff. All right, so let's get rid of that. And that's, you might have to fight with it a little bit, but I definitely recommend that you delete everything. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video. I hope you enjoyed this and found it helpful, and hopefully you will subscribe, and maybe I'll have something else that you enjoy. So we all have things we can offer in this industry. It's a very vast industry, and so thanks for watching.